In order to take action and make a better life for yourself, it's really important to accept the realities of the world we live in. And in 2023, there's essentially a lot of things that people don't want to accept. And I'm here to tell you that in order to grow, you need to learn to embrace these things and become a student of the game. I just made a video on setting New Year's resolution goals and how to accomplish them. And then I realized that I really needed to also make a video on kind of realizations that we all have to come to terms with this year if we're going to, number one, achieve these goals, and if we're going to be set on a path to living the life that we really want to live. So if you really want to make it through this year and accomplish all of your goals that you set for this upcoming year, then these are the 6 hard-hitting facts that you need to come to terms with. Change is inevitable because, let's face it, nothing stays the same. As time passes, people, objects, and environments change. And change is unavoidable because of the way life works. Everything changes over time, and the only thing constant is change itself. I think the first time I really realized that change was inevitable is when I first came home for the holidays after I went away to college, and I was excited to go back to my own bed, and there wasn't a bed for me. There wasn't even a room for me. It was turned into a home office. And at first I was pissed off, and then I quickly realized that, yeah, this is just how things work. You don't need a room anymore. You're not even there. So just realize that change happens and learn to embrace it. But change is often a great thing. And if you're setting goals this year, then that's what you're doing. You're setting goals to change something. So embrace change and just know that things just don't always stay the way they are, good or bad. So try to make an effort to make positive change. You can't always get what you want. Yes, that old saying. It's not just a song that I can't sing well. You see, life is so unpredictable and things don't always go according to plan. And it's often going to be impossible to get what you want due to factors like time constraints, resources, and other variables that are just out of your control. I remember when I was a kid, I really wanted a dog. I was raising an only child and I just really wanted a companion, and I would beg and scream and just constantly be on their butts about, can I get a dog? Can I get a dog? So after hearing no a million times, I said, all right, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands. So I went to the park and had a collar, and I waited there for hours, and kind of with the intention that some random stray would appear and I can kind of take him in. I don't know how my brain works, but I finally was about to give up, and all of a sudden this dog comes and he didn't have a collar, and I was like, oh my God, here's my chance. And I ran up and I was like, hey buddy, and I tried to put a collar on him, and his owner came out of his car was like questioning me, and I just took off. And that's when I realized you can't always get what you want. But that following Christmas, my parents surprised me with one of those electronic iRobots. I don't know if you remember those. It have the remote, and you can code it to do backflips and fake pee and all sorts of stuff. And it wasn't the real thing, but it was a decent compromise. Because life's so unpredictable, no one can really guarantee that we'll wake up the next day. And I don't mean to be morbid or bring the room down. I just want everyone to realize that life here is finite, and we can plan all we want, but there's no guarantee that things are gonna work out the way we expected them to. I know a lot of you guys, myself included, who have lost people really close to us in the past couple years, and it's tough, and it really puts things into perspective. And people that had all these big ambitions to do things that you totally expected them to be able to accomplish, and they never got the opportunity to. And I know for some of us, that may make us not want to even set goals because we don't know if the effort's going to pay off. Because what if we want to do something that's going to take 4 years, and maybe we'll have an excuse of, oh, maybe I'll die next week. Is it even worth the effort? But for me, that makes me want to just go at things a lot more aggressively and set goals that are even bigger and try to do them as quickly as I can, because the quicker I accomplish them and I'm still here to celebrate them, then that's great. And if you guys also choose to adopt this mindset, I think it'll really help you with trying new things that maybe you're too afraid of, because you'll realize that life here is short and you don't want to live with regret. Failure, in fact, is an opportunity for growth and development. It helps us learn from our mistakes and identify areas for improvement. And it allows us to take different approaches to situations that we're facing. And as we fail, we fine tune it and make those adjustments and try again and eventually become successful at it. And failure is also a humbling experience that can teach us a lot about perseverance and resilience. I have failed so much in my life, and every time I failed, I would just feel really bad about myself. And it would make me not want to try new things because I would think that if I failed at this, then I would fail at this as well. And it prevented me from doing a lot of things in my life that I look back on now that I wish I would have done. And this really comes down to mindset. I spent 5 years trying to build a business that ultimately wasn't profitable and I had to move away from, and it sucked. And afterward, I was beating myself up thinking that I lost 5 years of my life and just getting really down and thinking I was a failure and not wanting to try new things because I had just spent 5 years failing at something. And that was my mindset. And then one of my friends who's very successful and has started a company that is gone public told me that I needed to get my head out of my ass and realize that those 5 years were years of learning and experience and things that I can take and apply into the next thing I want to do. Because that's what you got to do. You got to fail and fail and fail and then learn from those failures and then apply what you learned into new things until you hit. And that's when my mindset really shifted and I realized that, yeah, failure is a learning lesson and it might suck, but it's really ultimately down to how you what you do with it, like what you take away from those failures. Failure is how we evolve and become better versions of ourselves. And after taking all that information and all the skills that I learned and realizing, oh my God, like I actually have a lot of stuff. And if I would have done back then what I know now, then I would have a completely different result. And so now I'm taking those skill sets and applying it into something new. And for one example, it is this YouTube channel. Embracing judgment is done through self-reflectance and self-awareness. And there's really two approaches to this. The first one is people will say things, unflattery, that you could take a real offense to and that may make you feel less than you are and maybe second guess your decisions. And then you decide not to pursue it and you don't get the outcome you want. Or you take the other path and take that judgment and think to yourself, what can I learn from this? What could I have done differently? And so you use that judgment as information to extract and see how you can apply it to either better yourself or just neglect it and think that, yeah, no matter what, someone's gonna say something about you. You can't win everyone's favor and some people are just assholes. Feedback and criticism are very valuable tools to your development. And if you learn to embrace them and have open arms and want to get constructive criticism and feedback, then I think it's going to help speed up your goal setting and it's just going to make you a more well-rounded person that doesn't get just pissed off over every little nitpicky thing that someone says about you. I let caring about what other people thought about me just completely dictate all of my 20s. Every decision I made was from the viewpoint of how would people view me if I made that decision. And I was miserable for a lot of that time because I wasn't making decisions that I was happy with. I was just making decisions that I thought people would view me as more favorable. And that was not something that I would ever do again. Before now, I would have never started a YouTube channel because I would have just constantly cared about other people watching this that I knew and making fun of me or whatever the case may be. And now that I'm making these videos and that's not a bother and that's not in the back of my mind anymore, I realized that, wow, I should have started this years ago. I don't know why I was caring about what people thought about me. They're not even watching these videos. And all the ones that are just giving me very great constructive criticism and telling me that I have a feature in doing this and I just gotta stay consistent and just giving me like good feedback and constructive criticism that I want, because if I have information that can make me a better presenter, I want that. I just don't want my ego stroked and getting to put out shitty videos. Comparison is the thief of joy because instead of us focusing on what we have and what we should be grateful for and what we're working towards, we're focused on what everyone else has that we don't. And that leaves us feeling unhappy and it gives us jealousy and makes us feel inadequate. And this often leads to unrealistic expectations, and that can really damage our self-esteem and make us really unhappy. If I started comparing myself to those that have uploaded hundreds of videos with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, I would feel like absolute shit. That's what actually happened at the beginning, and it psyched me out because I was comparing myself to those people, and then I had to realize that they started out the same way I did, and their first videos weren't the best, and they only got better and continued to work hard. And everyone's situation is different. Some people are born into things, some people have things handed to them, some people work really hard, and no one life path is the same. So really don't compare yourself to other people. Just focus on your lane and your goals and crushing them. If you can go into this year with those realizations, I think that accomplishing your goals are going to be so much easier and you're going to get a lot farther. If you got value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you watched it this far, we're homies. Hit that subscribe button and let's stay in touch. This is gonna be a massive year for all of us, I know it. And if you haven't already, check out the last video I made, which talks about how to actually set and accomplish your goals for this year, all right? Catch you in the next one. See you guys.